Test for Echo, that's brand new from Rush on the Rock Radio Network. The title track from the band's new studio album, their 20th studio recording. Hi everybody, I'm Steve Warden. Welcome to the program. Today I'll be joined by Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson from Rush to talk about the making of the record, their tour plans, and lots of other stuff as well. Stay tuned, we'll be right back with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson in just a moment.
First.
But of course.
Rush, Test for Echo. The world album premiere continues on the Rock Radio Network.
Hi and welcome to the program. Steve Warden here, joined now by Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson of Rush upon the release of the new album, Test for Echo. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us.
A pleasure,
well, hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Oh, no, here we go again.
How have you guys been? How was your summer?
It's been a great summer. For me, I worked a lot last year, and then we worked fairly steadily for about 6 months on this record, so I really looked forward to having the break. It's been relaxing, playing golf, hanging out, enjoying the rain, and looking forward
Playing golf and enjoying the rain, those two don't quite sound like they go together.
So long as it doesn't snow, I'll still play.
Yeah. Your game's better in the rain, is it?
I have an excuse then.
And Geddy, what about you? Good summer?
I'm
Busy?
I'm fine, thank you very much. How are you?
And you?
No, not bad. My summer's been very busy.
Yeah.
It's been a good summer, but a busy summer, not a relaxing summer this year. A lot of stuff to do.
Right. But now back to work.
Back to work is part of the problem.
Fall problem, but the fans are certainly happy
about it. It's a good problem. Don't get me wrong, it's a nice problem.
A nice problem to have.
But it's,
right. Back to work. Tell me about the break. You guys took quite a long break after the last tour, and I think it stretched into maybe about 18 months or so?
Yes, it was.
Before you reconvened for this project? Was that the longest period of time you've taken off after an album or a tour?
Yes, it was decidedly the longest period of time we've ever taken off. And I guess when you compare it to bands like the Stones and Pink Floyd and stuff who take 5 years, 6 years between records, it's really not a very long break. But in the world of us, it's a substantial break. I don't think we've really taken more than 8 months, like just off, totally off before. So this was a good solid rest.
Now, what was it like? I mean, separating and going your separate ways for 18 months, then getting back together, was it a little bit strange or?
Well, it was quite different, I think, for all of us. Geddy and his wife had a baby, so he wanted to really stay home and be Mr. Mom, and we sacrificed that with all our kids earlier on when our touring schedule was a lot more difficult, and I know that Ged didn't want to make that mistake again. Here I am speaking for him.
Yeah, and you're doing a good job.
Thank you. And then for me, I had the opportunity to work on a solo record and just pursue that, and that was something that I really needed for myself at that point in my life, I think, and I've come out of the experience feeling a lot stronger and more self-confidence and all of that. And then, of course, Neil has a million things on his agenda always that he wants to do. So it was really a great opportunity for us to just get away from everything Rush. And with Ged and I, we've been in the band since we've been 15 years old, and it's been the central part of our lives for all these years. So it was really great to get away from it. And when we got back into working on this record, we had just a terrific time. We got very close on this record, and we had a lot of fun working on it. We laughed a lot, and we, I think, learned to give each other space at the right time and just be aware of each other a lot more.
Yeah, I agree with everything Alex said. The time off was incredibly valuable and really long overdue. Alex needed to do other things musically because he had more ideas than he had space to put them in Rush, and he had to really do that. And for myself, I was burnt out on the whole idea of being in a band, and the whole concept of making music to me was not interesting, and I wanted to be in a very domestic mode and escape from all that. So it was very, we were rejuvenated when we got back together. I mean, it was a little odd at first because it was probably the first time in a long time that I had been dying to go back to work and dying to write. And when we first got together, the three of us were a little circling each other, kind of like dogs sniffing each other out a little bit, going, well, Alex is coming out of totally different experience than I was coming. I mean, I was like laid back. I mean, Alex commented, I remember, like, he was just not used to seeing me so pleasant and happy, and ready to work. And on the other hand, he was, concerned with his record, and he was a little uptight, and it was like, and then there was Neil, who's always a little bit aloof at first. So I think it took us a few days of really talking, to get back on the same page and realize that, we want to make this record. And once we got over that hump, it was just very high energy creative stuff going on. I mean, I think we could have easily written a double record this time.
Yeah.
It was almost a shame to stop writing because we had so much stuff. But
did it put you at kind of a fresh starting point and a point that you maybe hadn't been at before in starting a new album because of the break and all that stuff?
Oh, definitely. I think individually, we'd done so much growth in that 2-year period. And getting back together, it's true, the first few days, we all had concerns about our future as people and as musicians and the band. And Ged and I remember we would sit outside and we didn't even play for those first few days. We just sat outside drinking coffee and talking about everything, not just about the band, but about everything and how we'd grown and where we wanted to go.
Yeah, I don't think you can just walk into, at this stage of our life, I don't think you can just walk into a writing session with no matter who it is, whether you've worked with the guy for 20 years or not, and just say, okay, let's start writing. That's like so machine-like, that's so robotic. It's not human. And I like to pride myself on the fact that all of our records over the years have been very honest expressions of where we're at as musicians at the time and where we're at as people. And, they kind of seep into the record. So, to after being away from each other and having gone through so many diverse experiences, to suddenly say, okay, let's make a record now like this, boom, boom, boom. It just couldn't happen. It wasn't real. It was kind of, it was just too overwhelming, I think. So, a little bit of talking, joking, finding out where we're thinking. Are we thinking on the same page? And, I think we kind of slowly realized that, we're still here, we're still okay, and, let's write something and see if we can write something that's still valid. And until we wrote the first couple of pieces, I don't think we really knew whether we could still write something that was valid. And I think we proved to ourselves that we could.
Lots of stuff to talk about. We're with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson of Rush. The new album is called Test for Echo. We're going to play a couple of songs here, Half the World, and first of all, a tune called Driven. And if you guys want to maybe set this one up for me, are you guys driven? Do you think at this point in your lives and careers you are driven?
No,
not
it's
anymore?
A total false song. It's there's no truth in it.
Well, maybe someone is.
But that's not necessarily what it's about.
Driven, it's interesting. Ambition, being driven, I think is different for different people, and it presents itself in different personalities in different ways. And I would say I've gone through periods where I've been more driven than others, but I would have to say that that song fairly represents kind of a desire to where we were feeling in terms of getting this record back together and getting the new energy level of the band.
And sometimes being driven can be a curse. It's that unending motivation to do something that keeps you going and going and going and going and doesn't allow you to maybe break away from it and relax a little bit and smell the roses, for instance.
New music from Rush on the Rock Radio Network. Right, that's Rush on the Rock Radio Network from the new album Test for Echo. I'm Steve Warden, along with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson of the band. And guys, we were talking before about taking a long break, 18 months or so, and then getting back together and starting this project. In what other ways does this album differ from previous projects? I'd heard a little bit that the writing process and putting the tunes together was a bit of a departure from previous records. Is that the case? Did you approach putting the songs together in a different manner this time?
I guess a slightly different manner. It's funny, until I read Neil's bio about how our writing sessions were different, I didn't realize they were that different.
Yeah.
But in retrospect, I guess it was frustrating for him from the point of view that normally we start writing a song, we kind of get it into shape, and then we play it for him and get his input, and then we have confidence about it and we carry on to the next song. But this time, I think in the middle every time we started writing one song, we would get an idea for another song. So rather than just finish the first song, we kind of would follow the spark in a way and say, well, let's work on this other idea. And that would develop, and that works with this lyric. And okay, so then suddenly you got 2 songs under construction, and then a third would come up, and a fourth, and whatever. And we just kind of got it in our heads, well, let's not play these for Neil until they're kind of done. Let's get it all together and see if, he likes the way we see it. And so he didn't really hear anything for about 2 weeks, and I think I didn't realize how antsy he was getting, but I guess he was getting a little nervous. What the hell are they doing in there?
We were totally productive.
Yeah.
We didn't want to stop.
And I was writing vocals and harmonies, and I mean, we were producing a little mini demo there of, very quickly we were getting a big picture of the song together. And
maybe you can describe for people how the setup works, because you were in a building or in a place where Neil was in one area and you were in another?
It's a farmhouse situated just north of Pickering with a studio adjacent to it. There's a hallway that connects the two. And we stay up there through the week, and Neil's at the far end of the house in his room, and he has his computer set up, and he has a view of the rolling countryside, and he likes to work in there, and he has a practice kit in the hallway, so he's very shut off in his end of the world.
So he's working on lyrical ideas,
right? And Geddy and I are in the studio proper, where we have an area set up with a recorder and our instruments, and that's a workstation for us. The control room is on the second floor, so Neil sets up his drums in the rest of the studio, and in the evenings we take the tapes out of our little work area, pop them into the recorders in the control room, and then work on drums as Neil develops his drum parts.
So the 3 of us never actually play together at the same time throughout the whole rehearsal and recording process. The closest we come to it is when Neil is doing some of his drum parts, when he's writing them. I will sometimes plug in to the board upstairs and kind of fine-tune some of my bass parts at the same time, which he's not listening to anyway, so it's a bizarre way of putting a record together, but it suits us very well. It's very time efficient for us.
How long has that method been in place?
For the last couple or 4 albums.
Yeah.
4 for sure.
Yeah. I mean, each time we kind of refine it to a different degree, but I think the simpler we approach our writing, and I'd say every record of the last 4 records gets more direct in terms of its approach. And technology is helping us a great deal too, because now Alex and I, when we write a verse or a chorus or something, we can just play it right into our computer, and Alex can go have a smoke or something, and I can play around with the arrangement for a while, and he can come back and give me a fresh perspective and tell me, well, that works or that doesn't work, and we can fine-tune it. So it's really kind of a nice way of working.
Mm-hmm. And then Neil comes in at a later point?
He'll come in at a later point, and once we've got the songs assembled, and, it's still kind of rough, but
they're sort of arranged.
But they're very arranged, and he has a clear idea of what the melodies are, a clear idea of the guitar parts and bass parts, and the thrust of the song is evident. And fortunately, we play him like 5-6 songs in a row, and he liked them all. So it was like, whew, got away with that.
He still had a handful, though. To do it like that, I think one of the problems maybe for him was that now he had 5 songs that he liked that required a little bit of work on the lyrics. I mean, the lyrics, I think, on this record went back and forth between Geddy and Neil a lot more than in the past.
So there is a process of refining the lyrics and
absolutely
changing.
I mean, he is one of the greatest collaborators for a vocalist, because even though a lot of people say, well, you have to sing someone else's lyrics, isn't that weird? Well, yeah, it is a bit weird, but when you have a very open professional relationship with someone, when you find a lyric that you like, and I'm by no means under obligation to use every lyric that he writes. I kind of gravitate to the ones that I feel suit me and that I feel are best suited for us. And it's a constant dialogue back and forth about fine-tuning the phrasing or making the meaning more clear, or sometimes making the meaning less clear, making it more poetic as opposed to straightforward. So he's got a lot of faith in me as an editor, and I appreciate that. And at the same time, I have a lot of faith in him. When I have something that's not working, I know that he'll be able to fix it for me. So it's a nice it's a nice arrangement.
We're going to play Time in Motion here. What can you tell me about that song in terms of what you were just discussing, Getty, as far as the lyrics and going back and forth and refining? Did this change much from his initial idea?
Not too much at all. This was a pretty straight reading. We found a piece of music that suited it really to a T. And it was just a question of me writing the melody, and then it's a little bit unusual because most of the vocals on this song have, you know, as opposed to using harmonies just for certain moments, every verse is kind of constantly in harmony with another voice, which was an interesting experiment for me. And I like the effect we got on record. I mean, obviously live, I can't do that, so it'll be a kind of an impression of that live, which I still think will work fine. But no, this was a pretty straight reading lyrically. The lyrics, I think we liked them pretty well off the top and didn't require much tinkering with.
The song is called Time in Motion. It's new from Rush on Test for Echo, I guess in the fairly near future, right? You're going to be hitting the road October?
October 16th, I think, is the first date. So we've got a few weeks of rehearsal before that and then back out on the road.
And it'll be, I guess, almost a couple of years then since the last live date, right? Once you get out there?
May,
a little more, I think.
Last live date we did was Toronto, May 7th, I think, 1994.
So it'll be closer to two and a half years.
Yeah.
Is that one of the longer gaps between? Must be one of the longer gaps between.
Longest one,
yeah, for sure.
So how does that prospect make you feel with such a long gap?
I have a feeling that the first 5 seconds of the first show, we're going to feel maybe a little bit nervous, and then after those first 5 seconds, we're going to feel like we never left. And that's usually the way it is. I mean, there's so much preparation that goes in beforehand, and you feel so confident in everything that the only worry really is a technical worry. Will something explode or break or whatever?
Or once we explode.
Once you get back into the flow of it, you feel like you've never left, just like it was when you went back to school.
Yeah.
What summer holiday?
There's a bit of nervous anticipation, I think, just because it's been a while and everybody got settled into a different way of living. And sometimes the shows aren't as scary. The prospect of the shows aren't as scary as the prospect of the lifestyle change, which is pretty, intense. But, you'll adapt, and you've been doing it for, 20-odd years, and so, it'll come back.
And you guys have pretty much figured out at this point how to do it right and how to do it in a way that you can keep your sanity and. Well,
it's always
reasonably,
hard work.
Reasonably, but it's a lot more work than I think people realize sometimes. It's very exhausting. Just preparing the tour, never mind getting out there night after night, and then you have the pressure of good performance every night. And I think that's something too that is harder as you get a little older, because I think when you're younger and you're in a band, you don't realize what's happening to you. Like, you often see that comparison when you hear interviews with sports people and baseball players and so forth. When there's this phrase, well, he's unconscious. Like, he's 23 years old and he's hitting out of his mind, and he doesn't realize what he's accomplishing or what he's going through. He's not even aware of it yet. But when you're a little bit older, it's like being invited to the All-Star game when you were 23 and when you're 40. I think it's a huge difference, because at that older age, you're aware so acutely of all the implications of your actions. You're more responsible for your actions, and you're more aware of everything that comes with the lifestyle. So I think the same thing is true in music. Your anticipation of a tour is not just, hey, let's go out and play some shows. It's like the whole thing, the whole pressure of the shows, the promotion, the interviews, the demands on your time, the separation from your family, and all that stuff comes into play.
And does your past track record also come into play in terms of living up to a reputation and putting on a great show that the hardcore fans are going to appreciate?
Absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, you always want to give people more than their money's worth. You want to design a show that is going to be different. From the moment they walk in the building, they're going to realize there's something different about this show, and it's supposed to be an exciting event because people have waited a long time to see you, and they've paid out, good money to see you. You want to make sure they go home happy. So it's a lot of pressure from different areas.
So what kind of hints can you give us then about the forthcoming show? What are you working on?
I don't know. I'm having a nervous breakdown about it.
Actually playing our instruments.
Yeah,
We gotta get over
first
that
we got to
one
learn
first.
these songs, right?
Well, that's the other thing. It must be exciting to be approaching a tour with new material. That must
Especially the material from
always
this record.
be fun.
Yeah, I think when we wrote the material for this, we had that in mind, that this is going to be great to play live, the stuff from Test for Echo. And after being away for a while, and we're talking about possibly doing an evening with, rather than having an opening act, which will allow us to have a little more time, bringing back some material that we haven't played in a while, and having some fun with that.
But playing a good chunk, obviously, of the new one.
Oh yeah,
As always, yeah.
Yeah, I think if we do this evening with kind of idea, that'll give us a lot more time throughout the evening to throw more old songs in and play more new songs. So I think it could be a good concept for a band like us that has like 400 records to drop.
Let's play another song. This one is called Totem. What can you tell me about this one?
It's about a big stick. And
I guess with Totem, what Neil was getting at was communicating our different feelings and ideas about spirituality and religion. This song is one of my favorites, for sure. I love the dynamic changes that this song goes through, especially into the chorus. It seems to go into another level or another world, another soundscape that I find really satisfying.
New from Rush, that's Totem from the album Test for Echo. And we have to take another break and continue in just a moment with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson.
From 97.7. Rush, Test for Echo, the world album premiere continues on the Rock Radio Network.
We're back. Steve Warden along with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, listening to the new Rush album, Test for Echo. And before we get into some more music, guys, I wanted to ask you a little bit about the production of the record. We talked a bit about writing the songs and arranging and that sort of thing. And then you went down to Bearsville in upstate New York and actually started the recording.
yeah, we've been hearing about this fantastic drum room in Bearsville for ages, and particularly from our producer Peter Collins, who's worked there a number of times, and various people that we run into over the years have recommended this great sound of this drum room. And so I guess Neil's curiosity finally got the better of him. We said, well, let's go down and check it out. And we were there all of 4 days, 5 days. I mean, Neil works so fast, it's scary.
That's it? You were only there 4 days?
We were only there
5
like
days?
5 days.
2.5 days to do all the drum tracks.
Yeah. A couple of days, on either side to prepare things and prepare tapes, and, he just does his drum tracks like boom, 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 boom. We got the drum sound, and we said, okay, let's go back to Toronto. Let's go home.
Yeah.
And we came back home and finished the record here.
So it's a pretty fast process then.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we spend, about 2 months?
In total time, spread out over 4 months, but we took a couple weeks off here, a week off there, a week off there.
But our pre-production time, what did we spend this time? 2 months? A little more than 2 months?
Yeah, we finished a little early, the writing phase, and it gave us a little more time for pre-production, where you get a chance to work on your arrangements and work out your parts.
Yeah, we do a lot of rehearsing,
Yeah.
like a lot of rehearsing before we go into record. And I mean, I think that takes so much pressure off the recording. You're so prepared that when you go to play your part, it's just, you don't have to think about still learning the part or perfecting the part. You just have to let go and get a good performance. And I think that is a really, it's just a very efficient way of working. And I think you also end up with more spontaneity because you're not kind of struggling with the part still. You feel very confident about it.
And is that also something that Peter Collins helps with? I mean, is that part of the role that he plays in just bringing out those performances and getting you ready? And
well, I think that's something we take upon ourselves more than anything. I mean, we of course, Peter's there to tell us, to keep us on track, and to say that, to help us build confidence and say, that is a good performance. Nothing wrong with that, guys. Let's go,
Yeah.
So he's there. He's kind of a cheerleader, and to make sure that everything is vibey and things are still, going down to tape properly, and that our performances are what they should be. But I think we take a lot of responsibility for performance and arrangement on ourselves.
do you think, as objective as you can be, do you think that your performance on this record is significantly different or better than in the past? And partly, I wanted to ask in the context of Alex, you doing the Victor project and Neil doing the Buddy Rich album. Was there any kind of different approach to playing your instruments? Do you think you're playing better as a band at this point? Or
Well, for me, I spent the whole year playing when I did Victor. Even on days where we were doing vocals or mixing, I always had a guitar with me. And I really got into the habit of playing a lot. And when we started working on Test for Echo, I just felt really confident about my playing, much more than I'd ever in the past. For me, a lot of times the problem is that we take a break and then we go into work on the record. So there's a bit of a warm-up period for me before we start working on a new record, but I'm never in the kind of shape I was with this. And I just, felt a little stronger about the presence of the guitar. I took on a lot more responsibility for my parts, I think, than I have in the past. And I had a much clearer picture of where I wanted to go with the sound and with the development of the guitar.
Yeah, I would say that you hit on a really kind of important aspect of what's changed about our writing, insofar as there's a lot more trust in each other. Like, when I'm working on a vocal part or a melody or even constructing an arrangement, if Alex thinks that things are under control, he'll kind of leave the room and leave it to me. And if Alex is doing the same thing, I don't feel like I have to sit there and look over his shoulder because, he came into this project in such great playing shape, and, he took on so much responsibility from what he'd been doing in his off time. It was just a natural for me. A lot of evenings I'd go home and I'd say, okay, my day is done. I'm going home to see the family. I'll see you tomorrow. And, he would carry on with his stuff and change the arrangements and so forth and write all his guitar parts. And I think the same thing with Neil. So there's, I think, a lot more kind of trust and
definitely.
And that helps build confidence in yourself.
And did that, Geddy, for you, did that kind of give you a boost in terms of playing the bass?
Oh, yeah.
That he came in with his chops so together?
Absolutely, because he was in far better shape than I was when he walked in the door. And I knew, geez, I have to practice. I have to get in shape quickly. And I did more practicing before this record than I've ever done for a record. And it was necessary because we were off the road for so long.
Yeah. Next song we're going to play is called Resist. And the overall impression that I have of the album is a pretty heavy record. But this song, Resist, is sort of genteel by comparison to most of the other tracks on the record. Would you agree that it's a fairly heavy record? And
Yeah, I would agree that I think it ended up a little heavier than we thought it would in some ways, because some of the songs that we thought were a little more genteel, Andy Wallace's mixing kind of heavied them up a bit, which I thought was really a kind of a great bonus, because they were no less melodic and no less kind of romantic in their melodic content, but yet they had an edge to them that I think was more appropriately contemporary, and I think that was a real benefit coming from Andy's input. But this song is a special song to me. I think it's one of the gems of the record, and I love the combination of melody and a little bit of toughness that's there. And there's a certain aspect of our band that's always at odds with ourselves in a way. It's like the decision, on one side we want to be complex and heavy, and on the other side we want to write beautiful melodies, and sometimes the two, you can't blend the two, and sometimes you can. So I don't know where this song sits in that scheme of things, but it's certainly satisfying from a writing point of view.
Yeah, I think the dynamics in this song are terrific. Like Eddie pointed out, going from soft to heavy, the whole breakdown section where it's acoustic and very pure and direct. I've always had a soft spot in my heart. I think this is one of the best songs we've ever written. It just really sings to me.
That's new from Rush. It's called Limbo, and it's from the album Test for Echo. And we're finishing up the program. Steve Warden along with Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson. Now, is that song virtually an instrumental? There's, I guess, some sort of
I think it's
vocalizing, wailing.
It's a virtual instrumental. I think you were absolutely correct. It's a virtual instrumental.
He used his voice as an instrument. I think we'll probably get away with it.
Actually, it's pretty much
Rush Limbo.
It's a tribute song, isn't it?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
he's one of my favorite people.
great American figure, large American figure.
Yeah.
So that song, I guess, is virtually an instrumental. But Geddy, you do some kind of
Yeah, I did some
wailing on
yodeling
it.
in there
Yeah.
to try out. I'm planning a trip to the Alps, and I wanted to practice.
But the yodel police were always
The yodel police were always present in the control room to make sure the yodeling didn't get out of control.
We've talked before about instrumentals. We've talked a little bit before about the occasional instrumentals that you do, and how did this one come about? Because I think they all come about in different ways, and I think you've said before that they're often accidental. I think Limbo is the proper name for this song because a lot of the pieces of this song were bits that we loved but couldn't find any room in other songs for them, so they were kind of in limbo. So we threw them all together in kind of a big bouillabaisse of weird stuff, and it kind of worked out way more cohesive than I imagined it would work out. And I'm really pleased with this one. I like the way it came together, and this is one that we're still playing with when we were recording the drums.
Yeah.
We were well into recording when we were just into recording when we rewrote the verses entirely. So it kind of all came together at the last minute. So these are important songs for us to do. It's like Recess. It's like, okay, you've been very controlled. You've been good boys. You've written these songs and you've arranged them, and now you can go completely insane and do an instrumental song. So,
but how do you know that it fits on the record?
You don't.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's Rush. We don't know if any of these songs relate to each other. We don't know if any of them fit, but we do it anyway because that's just the way we are. We can only write what we write at the time, and it's not a contrived thing. It's just the way we are, and we put them on the record because we wrote them and we spent all this time writing them. So if it justified all the effort, then it must be worthy of us to put out to the public. So it's kind of just the way we do it.
And how do you know when things are hanging together properly in terms of sequencing the record and putting the songs in a certain order?
Again,
is that a tough thing? Do you labor over that?
Sure.
Is that something you spend time on?
I think you have to draw the line at some point and say this is it. But we spend a lot of time on sequencing while we're mixing. We make up a chart, we move the sequence around, and then play it back in different orders to see if it works. We finally settle on one, and in the case of this record, a few weeks later, Ged called and said, "You know what? I think we have to move this song, and maybe we should think about moving this." So there was another sequence. Okay, a couple of weeks after that, that was almost it, but I think it. So I mean, Ged is always like that.
You can't leave this. You can't. When I finish a record, you just have to take it away from me.
Yeah.
Because I would just keep playing with it. But I think, I think it was worth it this time. I think we hit on a really good sequence for this record, and the first one was close, but the luxury of having a bit more time, because we finished it so quickly, we had some time to play with before the album came out, gave us an opportunity to rethink the sequence, so it worked out good.
We're almost out of time here, but quickly, tell me about the inspirational slogans that you guys were putting up in the studio while you worked.
We can't talk about that.
You can't tell us about that?
There is one on the album jacket, actually.
Yeah, it is, but it's a secret message.
Yeah, you have to kind of look for it.
But it's true, you were putting up little slogans on the walls?
They were inspirational to us.
Doesn't everybody?
Maybe.
Actually, we took ours down today before you came in.
Maybe they wouldn't be particularly inspirational to other people, but we certainly looked up at them every day and had a good laugh.
I'm not even sure that they make any sense to other people.
And
who
writes them?
They would.
Do you write them, or do you?
Well, Alex and I
both do.
Do you find them in books and?
No, we find them in our brains.
We invent them totally ourselves.
Give us an example.
Okay.
If you want something done right, just forget it. There's an example.
Or if that's what they want, then that's what they probably gonna want.
Deep.
Very deep.
So these had a big impact on the record, then.
Oh, yeah.
Without them, I guess we
wouldn't even be here.
There'd be no album. And did Neil appreciate them?
Yes.
Yeah.
The only unfair thing for Neil is he doesn't get to work in the room as often as we are that have the actual slogans on the walls.
Yeah, on the actual paper.
On the actual walls, the virtual walls, the virtual paper is on.
Well, listen. It was nice to see you guys again. Congratulations on the album, and also congratulations on receiving the Order of Canada.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Which means exactly what? From now on, we'll have to call you Sir Alex, Sir Getty. What's the official designation that one gets with
You can call us Bub. Yeah, hey, Bub. Hey, Bub, OC.
OC, yeah. It's now Alex Lifeson OC.
That's a pretty major thing, though.
It is. It's a great honor.
And
They didn't tell us what OC stands for.
And this happens later this fall. You get the official
Yeah, apparently. It's
ceremony.
a nice honor. It's pretty cool, I think.
Oh, well deserved. You've been great ambassadors for the country for a long time, and many more. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
On Test for Echo, and good luck on the road. Have fun. Take care.
Great, thanks.
Give our best to Neil. And we'll go out with one last song. This is called Carve Away the Stone. Brand new from Rush and Test for Echo on the Rock Radio Network.